Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this classic land battle showdown. It's going to be myself and the Tomb Kings facing off against Tim the Wilder, who's going to be rocking the Dark Elves here on Galbaraz, which was also one of the maps we used a lot in Warhammer 2 in tournaments, although I believe it did get reworked in Warhammer 3. It's a little bit different, but anyways, my friends, let's take a look at the army. So for my front line, it is going to be Tomb Guards. We got triple Tomb Guard, which are a very good sustainable infantry unit, and obviously skeletons won't hold terribly long, but these guys have good leadership, good melee defense, decent stopping power. So against Bleak Swords, Dread Spears, and Witch Elves, they trade very well. Blackheart Corsairs is kind of a bad trade from a cost perspective, but even still, they do a good job on the front line. Now up in the hill, we do have your boy Ark in the Black, and he is supremely powerful in land battle, in my opinion, because in domination mode, you don't always get to use all of his charges of his different items and things like that, like his Tomb Blade, and don't really get to benefit as much from the long-term life leeching, which gives you the reserves. I think in land battle, he's probably a little bit stronger. So he's here. He's going to be Spirit Leeching, casting Buna on the cavalry. One who shot the Great Bow to shoot the heavy big cavalry targets and the various infantry pieces. Sepulchral Stalkers, I was expecting some sort of a dragon character, so I wanted to have some laser beams as well as halberds to fight it off. Granted, Tim went completely off the rails here with a super wide swarming build, which certainly making me nervous. A couple Screaming Skull catapults on the sides, Nehekar horsemen on the flanks, and that is my army with some skeleton horsemen archers. Now for Tim, it is an unholy zerg of Dark Elves. It's going to be Blackheart Corsairs, Bleak Swords, and Dread Spears with Witch Elves mixed in to try and rampage my big targets. A couple anti-large cavalry units to deal with Ushapti and various constructs in my cavalry, and also a Supreme Sorceress of Fire, just going to be using Burning Head. So a very clean, very wide build. Going to be hard to hold off here, but we're going to be firing, reloading, and firing. I've been on a huge Tomb Kings kick lately because of the old world, so they're coming back in the old world, and honestly, it's kind of rekindled my, my interest in land battle a little bit, because in many ways, the old world is very similar to, it's kind of just an open pitched battle, right? There's not any objectives on it. So, well, in some missions there are. It depends. It's going to depend on the various, things you're playing, but it has been resparked. So. Battles our way here. Tomb Guard in the front lines hanging out. Ark in the Black running interference here, so I like to run up with Arkin and drop a skeleton summon right away. So the cavalry were chasing Arkin, so I just dropped a skeleton summon on them, and it's going to occupy them. It allowed me to then get a big charge into the front line here. So you can see that the Nehekar horsemen get a huge money charge on those Bleak Swords. Meanwhile, the skeletons are doing okay damage against these Witch Elves, as well as Cold One Knights, not bad at all. And the Nehekar horsemen are able to rampage because the cavalry are slightly occupied. Horsemen archers just kind of sitting and poking, shooting at Corsairs, which isn't terribly cost effective because the Corsairs do have good armor, but it is what it is. Another charge here in the front line is going to be the horsemen moving in, and they get a nice charge while the Screaming Skull catapults drop fat bombardments here on the back of the Dark Elf army. And they're doing okay work, but it's all sunshine and rainbows until my opponent gets into melee with me, and then it's going to get scary, right? Like at this point in the game, I was up maybe, 2,000 value, give or take. We had broken some Corsairs here, had some pretty cost-effective trades. These Black Arcs are also quite beat up, and most of the trades are going in our favor at this point, but it's not going to be that way in a second when the old DRUCHI collapse in my army. So Witch Elves have made it around the flank, going after these Skeleton Spearmen. Going to kill them pretty quickly, but being laser beamed by the Eyes of the Desert, which felt pretty good. Pulling in my formation a little bit tighter, forming ranks with my Skeleton Spearmen, while Ark in the Black is going to be lurking around the back. I did drop a Buna on the Cold One Knights that were chasing into my lands, and they're going to get kited into the Shadow Realm here by the Skeleton Horsemen Archers. And with Buna on them, it should be a kill, so you can see why Buna is such a good spell against Dark Elves. And a nice Burning Head at the front, classic stuff. It is able to wreck my Tomb Guard, so no matter how tanky Tomb Guard are, Burning Head still karate chops them pretty badly. Takes away a ton of health, and suddenly my front line didn't feel terribly sustainable. Chosen to the Gods, ripping shots downtown, up to about 900 value so far. They have been working on those Cold One Knights that were tied up in skeletons, but now they themselves are going to get caught by the Blackheart Corsairs here, and it's going to get a little bit messy. Some Witch Elves have also made it into my backfield here, so the Witch Elves do jump on top of the Screaming Meme Catapult, and that thing is going to be not long for this world, as the Witch Elves will be showing no mercy. So obviously I'm ahead in the balance right now, but you can see it's going to start switching back here in just a moment, now that a lot of my infantry are crumbling. Skeletons are crumbling here. These skeletons are in a little bit of danger. We have a Ushapti summon here to try and work on the Blackheart Corsairs and Bleak Swords, which hopefully will do some work. And a lot of my frontliners are starting to falter. Tomb Guard did pretty well, though. They were able to push back the front line and engage with some of the Witch Elves in the secondary line. Hopefully they will do okay here. But it's getting a little bit dicey. Both catapults going to be going down. One catapult fully down here, and some of the Dark Elf cavalry did move up and through the middle of my formation and had an excellent collapse on the Screaming Skull catapult here. So I just lost two pretty expensive artillery pieces. They probably got about 700 or 800 value each. They certainly didn't do bad, but not enough. And now this other Cold One unit's going to be getting on my Ushapti Great Bows. So suddenly, just in the blink of like 30, 45 seconds, I lose several really, really valuable units. And now the Cold One Knights probably going to be able to finish off these shows under the Gods, as another super good Burning Head comes in here from Tim the Wilder, nailing the Skeleton Spears and the Tomb Guard units. And now the balance power is starting to shift back to the middle. Skeleton Horseman Archer is doing great. You know, these bad boys with the arrows of Asaf shooting into the lightly armored hides here of the Witch Elves. Their 5 armor certainly not going to be helping them too much. And yeah, these Horseman Archers have been great. They fended off the Coldwell Knights. They're doing some good skirmishing, and now the battle in balance of power is pretty damn even. I've lost what little lead I had. And over here, we do have multiple units of Tomb Guard. These guys are fighting super well, grinding down whatever they can, despite, you know, eventually going down themselves. They will return to the sands, you know, a job well done, I would say. In the backfield, dropping another Spirit Leech down in the Coldwell Knights there, so trying to wear down the big scary elements. And Arkin does have a couple of skeleton summons in the back pocket. I think I have 3 left, if I'm not mistaken. I've used 1 or 2 this game. I think at the very least that you saw the 1 in the beginning, but I don't know how many more than that. The summon there did good work, was able to wear down the Black Arcs a little bit, but even still, the Eyes of the Desert really didn't do well this game. There honestly wasn't really any good targets for them, and they just get surrounded and killed by infantry and rampage, so I couldn't even run, which was really, really tough, so well played to him. And his build's starting to come into full fruition here, as the Burning Head does wear through my Skeleton Spearmen here in the front. In the meantime, the Skeleton Horsemen and Archers blasting into the back of the Witch Elves here, and some more Black Arc Corsairs going to be trying to hunt your boy down. On the other side, Coldwell Knight's going to be looping around, so they're looking to cruise for a bruising. So there they go after the Skeleton Horseman Archers. Are they going to get them? Find out on today's episode of Dragon Ball Z, and yeah, looks like they might be able to get away. So Skeleton Horseman Archers going to be retreating. Ark of the Black does drop a Skeleton Summon right here to try and bolster these spears and buy a little bit of time. But there's a shitload of Elves left. But the thing that's not good for the Elves is everything is really, really low, and his caster isn't going to be that impactful in the later stages of the game, whereas Ark in the Black will, right? So I'm going to just be kiting and using all the ammunition I possibly can before I decide to engage here. Ark in the Black going to be engaging in melee, trying to recharge my Skeleton Summon here, but for the most part, we're pulling back. Another Spirit Leech is going to be going down on the Coldwell Knights, so the Coldwell Knights do get blasted by that. That should be enough to get rid of them. Gotta watch out for the Witch Elves. If they are able to rampage Arkin here, I could potentially just straight up lose the game. So very scary. We do drop the Liber Mortis from Arkin, another reason why he's so good, and that's going to be giving him the Fizz Res, shooting at the Witch Elves here, and it looks like your boy Arkin is going to end up getting rampage. Could be the end of the game for me. We'll have to see. In response to that, the unit that did run out of ammo, I'm going to be charging them in to buffer Arkin and try and push some of the units off him, so they get in and they get a nice charge, and that's going to be taking some of the DPS and maybe allowing Arkin to survive. We'll have to see. A lot of the units do rout here, and now the Supreme Sorceress of Fire is going to be cruising in, and I believe I'm almost out of ammo. I think I have like 1 volley left here, so very, very dodgy. Madness of Cain is active, but my blade is recharging, which is great. Another Burning Head going down, probably going to be finishing off a lot of these skeletons. It will hurt their leadership too, which is very strong. It looks like it didn't do too much damage, so pretty fortunate stuff there. In the meantime, Skeleton Horseman Archers just kiting away from the various cab units, and the whole Dark Elf army is literally like at sub 15%. So I felt as if I still had a chance here. I mean, look at the balance of power. This is pretty bleak in terms of balance of power, but you can never underestimate old Skeletor here. He is a pretty impactful character in a land battle situation because of those summons, and obviously I still had a lot of Winds of Magic because of the power of Life Leeching, right? Every time you cast a spell, it's going to be giving you 2.5 Winds of Magic, and Spirit Leech is what, 8? So yeah, you're getting like a really, really good refund on that. So running away here, going to be trying to unify with my Skeleton Horseman Archers while they do a little bit of kiting there. And we're going to be diving over here to go after the Bleak Swords and these various units that are very, very tattered. So Arkin is going to be rolling on his mighty steed. Here he comes. He's quite upset that he's not in the old world right now. Maybe they'll add him in a future edition or something. So there he goes. He gets the old karate chop with his staff and does take down a couple Bleak Swords. But more importantly, he's charging his staff safely. Skeleton Horsemen running down and doing some okay damage against these troopers here. Probably not going to be able to break them. Their stats are pretty poor. But another Spirit Leech goes down to the Supreme Sorceress. And Arkin with another summon in the back pocket. So the dead rise from the dirt, I should say. Not sands. But they do rise. And they're going to start crumping down a lot of these Witch Elves and these Bleak Swords and Dread Spears and whatnot. And you can see the leadership starting to become a little bit fickle. Skeleton Horseman Archers here are battling the Supreme Sorcerer, so they might be able to get some damage on her. Yeah, they do. Actually, some respectable damage. Burning Head does go down and certainly tickles the pickle of my units. But Arkin is starting to, rally here. A lot of these Bleak Swords and Dread Spears not having a good time. These skeletons do, of course, cause fear, so they're going to be penalizing the leadership of these guys a little bit. Just like in tabletop, skeletons and all the undead do cause fear, and many of them cause terror, the bigger, scarier ones. But in this case, a bit of a rout potentially. Bleak Swords getting worn down. The skeletons still have 100 models. They are crumbling pretty heavily at negative 34 leadership, so they're going to be losing models very rapidly. But we do get a Spirit Leech down on the Supreme Sorcerer. She's going to be pretty close to breaking. And even on top of this, I think I have another 2 or 3 Spirit Leeches in the back pocket. So that's another reason why Kairos is so good in land battle, because he has the Lore of Death passive, so he can really just spam magic like way longer than a lot of different characters can. But even still here, we are getting a little bit of bump and grind against these Dark Elf troopers. You can see they're starting to rout. Ark in the Black has 90 armor and really good combat stats. 40 and 50 is no joke. So he's a resilient fighter, and he's going to be able to grind there for some time and use Libra Mortis and these other effects. So the Dark Elf character does run away here. Ark of the Black still fighting against these Blackheart Corsairs, and he might be able to just straight up beat them. He's got 2,000 HP left. Still some Spirit Leeches in the back pocket, so you'll be seeing another Spirit Leech here in just a second. Dark Elves moving in with Bleak Swords. Meanwhile, the Supreme Sorceress has come back, probably wishing she had a Fireball. And another Skeleton Summon from Arkin, going to be absolutely brutal, as the Blackheart Corsairs are going to be running for the hills here in a second. I mean, that's a shitload of healthy skeletons that just pop up on you. Strong Binding, and that should be enough to bolster Arkin here, as we can do a little bit of fast forwarding here in the later stages of the game, as it's more or less just a grind. Spirit Leech going down on the Witch Elf units that did come back. Obviously, you don't want Arkin getting rampaged and killed, and the formation does get broken while the Sorceress is going to be on her way back in. Arkin is easily going to be able to defeat her in combat. 700 HP against 2,000 better combat stats. You know, he is quite a powerful being for sure. It looks like there's going to be a Burning Head attempt, which certainly isn't bad at all. But even on top of this, ironically, I think I had one more Skeleton Summon, which is nuts. So that is going to be GG well played, as the Lord is going to be routing here in a second, and that is going to be the entire army going into retreat. And wow, what a close match. That was a real grindy one. I thought I was toast when a lot of my back line got hammered. I was expecting Skirmish Cavalry, Dark Rider Repeater Crossbows, Dark Riders, that type of thing. But when he came in with a full melee rush with just some heavy calf support, man, it caught me off guard. So really close match. GG well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Here's the value on Arkin, 1,600. Not bad at all. Shopties about paid for themselves. Catapults not so much, but you know, they tried their hearts out. They tried their hearts out. All right, guys, that's it. Take care of yourselves. See you next time. Adios. Well played to Tim, and we'll be back with more action soon. Cheers.